Well, Mayo may have won the All-Ireland final on Sunday, but last night, the second biggest final of the summer took place as Maya Jama announced the winners of Love Island 2026.
Well, before we pull our Love Island expert Orlaith Condon for a chat about this explosive season, let's take a look at last night's crowning moment. So, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, look away now.
The votes are in, the public have spoken, and the winners of Love Island 2026 are...
Orlaith Condon, are we surprised at last night's result? Lorenzo and Julia took the crown.
Yeah, somewhat. I kind of am a little bit, yeah, because it could have gone any which way, I think. I feel like the safe pair of hands was Angelista and Simba because they had kind of said their I love yous, they had had their redemption, they had hit all the markers that you should hit across Love Island, and they had gotten to a place, I think, where fans were really behind them. So that was the kind of love story that I think would maybe have traditionally won Love Island. And then it really came down to this like referendum on where you stood between Jasmine and Cavan and Julia and Lorenzo and all of the stuff that we've seen going on over the last few weeks. So I was watching through my fingers thinking Jasmine and Cavan are going to take this. It's going to be old school Love Island winners again. And I really wanted Julia to take it, so I'm delighted that she did. So yeah.
I was not at all like on the fence. Do you know, I don't buy into Jasmine and Cavan. Am I the only one?
No, I don't believe it right now, because I tiptoe into this because Jasmine fans are very passionate. And anytime you kind of put out a like alternative opinion, or maybe you don't see it from their point of view, there's like a real strong defence there of Jasmine. So I was tiptoeing into this, glad we're on the same page here.
I didn't know that. I'm sorry if I've upset Jasmine fans. I think it's so clear.
They're like Swifties, I swear.
Oh, wow, okay.
No, but like I think the last couple of weeks were really poor showing for the girls anyway. I think we got into quite a similar dynamic that we had seen last summer, where there was this real divide between the girls in the villa, and it was a lot of like she said, a lot of kind of jabs being thrown across movie night and the grafties. And I think, to be honest, out of all of that, Julia to me came out the best of all of those conversations, because it just felt like she was kind of sticking to kind of the same point throughout all of those arguments.
She didn't contradict herself.
Yeah, and that kind of pile on in the dressing room, and I think that kind of started to turn people against this kind of clique that we had seen form between Jasmine, Mika and Priya, obviously before
who don't even really like each other.
Honestly, I don't believe it either. Like, it was a lot of like, you look amazing, but like, do you mean that? Or like, are we just saying that because that's what we're talking about?
You know, how they've treated each other throughout the series is a little bit questionable too.
Well, I mean, movie night was like, I couldn't believe that Priya got back from movie night and was then pretty much the next day totally chill with Jasmine, totally chill with Mika after what we had seen at movie night. Any other season, that would have been a week of storylines of like, will these girls become friends again? The next day, that was gone. So there just didn't seem to be a consistency to kind of the energy that they had for people that they felt had done them wrong. If it was within that little trio, a lot of those kind of indiscretions seemed to be kind of ignored and just kind of, we'd get over it and move on.
Yeah.
If it was Julia, it would never be dropped and it would be brought up every night. So I think that came down to like where the votes went then last night. And I thought as well how they played, which interview went first last night, whose package went first last night. It was Julia and Lorenzo at the top of all of those. I may be obviously a conspiracy theorist, I'm not saying,
but there was a
it gave them more
from the
time.
Point of view.
Yeah, it gave fans more time to get those votes in and kind of and see that difference. So yeah, interesting result, I would say.
I was rooting for you.
Yes,
yes, you were. You were. I was holding out, trying to spend time with my family. Beautiful summer down in Wexford.
Oh, Karen,
and then but then Charlene Murphy, I blame you. She dragged me into Love Island because of this Irish interest.
Yeah.
Do we think it was a wasted opportunity that she wasn't an OG, that she was using Casa more, and that perhaps we didn't get to see as much of her as we would have liked?
Yeah. Casa's a really hard one. I would say generally you get one superstar from Casa. Julia was this year's Casa superstar. It is a big crowd and it's very hard to stand out in there. Charlene had a lot of pressure as well, and we saw a lot of the UK viewership complaining that, you know, the Irish fans were kind of overhyping her and talking too much about her. I don't know, did maybe that go against her as well, that maybe the voting fans, because obviously we can't vote here in Ireland, were the UK fans who could actually control which way the votes went, would they have kind of not favoured her? her. I think Cass is a really difficult one. For me, she should have been a week 2, week 3 bombshell, especially with the fact that the rumours started back in April.
Why do you think they didn't do that?
I honestly don't know. I think they were trying to... And I mean, look, they have backup bombshells. They have a group of them waiting and holding at all times. And depending on where the narrative is going, they can pull the right person in that they feel like will push the story where they wanted to go. So presumably they didn't see that fit for Charlene, or maybe thought she might be a missed opportunity at one of those points as well. I'm gutted for her.
Yeah.
I mean, she seems to have had a great time.
Sorry,
it was lovely to see
some
her.
lad on the final Maya Jama.
Tommy
Talking to
too.
some fella.
Sorry, did you see her reaction as well?
She wasn't impressed.
No, I wouldn't be either. Shut your mouth. Why are you talking about this? You didn't get my permission.
So some other Islander, they've hooked up outside. He announces it on live
They've
television.
kissed. Yeah, they've kissed.
He's a bit
apparently.
like that, though, I think. He's a bit like that, yeah.
There was a lot of like high-fiving after it was announced from the boys, and I was like, oh, Charlene, you're better
Do
than
you know
this
what I
girl.
felt like, though? I felt like they were trying to give her more time.
Yeah.
Do you not feel that? In the last couple of episodes, it was like they were trying to highlight Charlene a bit more.
Yeah. I mean, again,
when
when you think about all of the Islanders who have left, it's only the ones that really have been on for a long time that have a bit of a status and are kind of, grabbed for the interviews and doing multiple podcasts. Charlene is the opposite of that mould because she was an established star before she went in.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of harboured a little bit of maybe bitterness from some of the fans that they had kind of been hearing so much about her and all of this Molly May comparison. I mean, I would be pretty confident with saying there's at least going to be a conversation about All Stars. So I would be hoping that
she'll have her time.
I would be really, because I mean, for them as well, like there was so much hype around it, so much conversation. She activated the entire Irish viewership. Karen, you were not the only person abandoning their children to go watch Charlene on Love Island. So I think there's a lot of reasons for them to keep that door open with her.
But then I fell a bit in love with Fitzy then once I started watching. So Fitzy
Okay.
and Lola, they've talked about this apartment in Dublin. We can't wait to see them walking down the road here in Dublin. Do we see these guys going the distance? Like, do we see Lola, who doesn't know that you can't just drive from England into Ireland?
Yeah.
Actually permanently moving to
Oh,
Dublin.
don't make my eye twitch. I know I should say, yeah, and this is going to be our Posh and Becks, and we're going to be so excited. I don't think so. I feel like there was cracks beginning to show at the end of their time in the villa. I think certainly that disagreement between Lola and Julia was a really interesting look at how two women can deal with the same situation very, very differently. That seemed to sit a little bit uncomfortable with Fitzy in some of those moments. I mean, I don't know. I'm not in their relationship, so I don't know. But I wouldn't be shocked that they would kind of not go the distance. But I mean, and the people roll their eyes at that because it's Love Island and we're here to find love. Just pause. Like, love is almost just like a nice thing extra that we get out of this show. We want to see couples, we want to see relationships and dynamics and all of that. If they last a few months after the villa, great. If they last longer, great. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe she'll love Dublin. Maybe she'll fall in love with the city. And she'll be like, yeah, I'm all about this life.
There's a thing going around Instagram and everything about POV, you're preparing for your documentary about da-da-da.
Oh,
you
yeah.
actually have done a documentary about Love Island.
I know,
Tell us
how
more,
mad.
Orla.
Yeah, so mad. So the Amazon Prime documentary, The Curse of Love Island, just dropped 2 parts on Sunday on Amazon Prime. And it's taking a look at all of the kind of the behind the scenes of reality TV. So kind of what the duty of care was like on the show, the deaths of 2 of the former contestants, Sophie and Mike, the deaths of Caroline Flack. So it's looking at a lot of some of the darkest days of the show, kind of what ITV has done to try and combat that, and the changes that they've made, how the experience has changed for modern day contestants. And yeah, I was asked to join and talk about it from the kind of, the content creator fan perspective, because obviously we had the podcast. It was honestly kind of crazy, guys, I won't lie. And I'm still just like kind of scared to push it because I don't want people watching it.
Push it,
Don't watch it, guys. Please, don't
Congratulations. That's a really cool thing to say.
And so interesting.
Yeah, really. I mean, look, I think, and it's hard for a lot of long-term Love Island viewers, it's really hard to separate yourself from some of those stories that we remember from years gone past. So yeah, it was an interesting look back at kind of the timelines, what had happened and the changes, and like very much seeing that we're in a very different show and it's a very different environment for Islanders now. So yeah.
Curse of Love Island on Amazon Prime. When's it out?
It dropped on Sunday, so it's already out 2 parts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll add that to the list.
That's a flex. Very cool, Orla. And if you at home are sad that Love Island has come to an end, you can stay on that buzz. Love Island USA. It starts tonight.
Don't do it to me.
Prepare yourselves. We're going to lose ourselves again. It's on Virgin Media Play. It's on Virgin Media 1. Apparently, it's one of the most streamed series ever. Have you heard this? The USA one has just absolutely exploded.
Those Virgin Media teasers as well, like the most talked about reality TV show in the world. It's making me feel like I'm missing out. So yeah. We're all jumping in this year, I think.
And from chart hits to hit podcast, Jessie Ware joins us next.
Yes, we'll see you after the break.